Hey guys, welcome back to another video or I guess podcast here from the Calcio Bros. Christian here talking about what's been going on this season with international break now over. I thought it was a good way to just discuss what's happened with Italy as well and talk about some teams going on in Serie, relegation battle, Champions League and Europa League games and all that stuff. So there is a lot to talk about so far, so I thought I'd just touch on a few subjects as well. And so before we get started on all that, there is some latest news that has happened as well. So we'll get to the first things, and that is some coaching changes here in Serie. So first off, it is Gianpiero Ventura, who's returning to a coaching job ever since he was sacked from Italy after that abysmal qualifying campaign that he found got us eliminated from the World Cup at all. He returns to coaching, and that is to Chievo. And it's funny enough, Chievo have Sweden's colors of the yellow-blue, and he takes over Danna. And of course, Chievo were having such a porous campaign. They weren't doing so well. They were at -1 points, of course, because of the scandal with Cesena. They were docked 3 points, and they sit at an 0-2-6 record, dead last behind Frosinone, of course, because of that. And so they're hoping Ventura can change things around. I'm not too sure what we're going to see, how he's going to do this. Maybe we're going to see the return of the 4-2-4 formation. Be a very, very tricky tricky task for him considering the coach that he is. Yeah, he has experience with Torino and the Azzurri, but I don't know how well it'll cope for Chievo here. Second coaching change is for Genoa, which actually came as a shock. I don't think anyone really saw this coming here. And they replaced Davide Ballardini with Ivan Juric, who did have a couple stints already at the club. And after a pretty decent season so far for Genoa, they sit 12th, 4-0-3 record with 7 games played, 12 points, which isn't too bad, but maybe considering some of the teams that they beat. They beat Frosinone, they beat Chievo, they beat Empoli, and they beat Bologna. But they also lost at home to Parma, they lost to Lazio, they lost to Sassuolo, so maybe games they shouldn't have lost to. Some mixed results, and then now here's where their struggle gets a little trickier, right? So especially that they have Juve coming up. They have the makeup game against Milan. Right after that, they play Inter, then Napoli. So it's going to be a big struggle ahead for Genoa to see if they can move up in the standings and continue the run, especially the way they did with Juric. I'm not too sure how I feel about this because Ballardino was doing a good job with the players that he had. So it's hard to say whether it was a smart choice by Preziosi to do that. So I'm not too sure. Honestly, I'm just shocked. And considering they do have a gem in Piontek, I guess that's how you say his name now. He's been scoring every game so far, the best player so far, breaking records. Now it's time to see if he can continue his run, like I said, with the upcoming schedule against Juve, Milan, Inter, Napoli. Can Genoa get the best out of him during these games against these teams? Because this is where it's going to matter. These are where the goals and results need to come from. So this is going to be important for them to do this. Let's see if they can do that. Now, considering some other news here, this comes from retirement. Actually, you guys have definitely heard this, and this is from Fant'Antonio Cassano, who makes another U-turn in his retirement last week after playing a U-turn, just signing with Virtus Entella in Serie C. Decides to retire a few days after that. Honestly, don't know what's going on through his head. The former Samp, Roma, Milan, Inter, Madrid man. Many teams there. He's well traveled. I don't know. The last season, I believe it was last season, he decided to sign with Verona, then decide to retire, then come out of retirement. I don't know. This guy is a mess right now. He says he can't keep up with the players or can't keep up with training or something like that. I don't know. His head hasn't always been in the right place, but honestly, if he was always a fantastic player for sure. He was skillful. He showed a lot while he was at Milan. He showed a lot while he was at Parma, especially with Roma too, when he linked up with Francesco Totti a lot. I think once the move came into Madrid, that's where his career sort of went at a standstill a little bit. Gained a lot of weight, partied too hard. But honestly, his skill was there. It's just if he kept his mentality straight, He definitely would have just been one of the world's best players, continuing to be, would have been really consistent, and for some reason he did not decide to do this, so that's on him, and I really don't know why he decided to do that. It's just, to me, it's like, why? Why would you risk something like that? It's absolutely ridiculous. So with international break now done, the Azzurri finally have some good news, and they managed to get a win in the UEFA Nations League. It is their first win in basically 5 games since the win against Saudi Arabia in May. They go on to beat Poland in their third game in the group after tying Poland and then losing to Portugal. This was a must win. Whoever came out on top here would be the first team relegated, and thankfully Italy managed to get the win in the 92nd minute thanks to Cristiano Biraghi, out of all players, and even assisted by Kevin Lasagna on his debut. Two unlikely players, and honestly, the Azzurri really look good. And again, they need a striker up front. There was no Immobile, no Belotti. Cutrone, I believe, was on the bench. Insigne playing as the false 9. And then, again, they need an all-out number 9 striker. It's not like that's what they need in order to score goals and get the victories. And I know Immobile is a great striker with Lazio, for sure. We all see it. But he hasn't produced well enough with the Azzurri. And I don't know what Mancini has to do to get the best out of it. To me, it's like he has a team he can build around. That midfield of Verratti, Jorginho, and Barella was outstanding. If we can build around them, then it's perfect. Like, they have worked well together, and even noting that it is Donnarumma's first clean sheet for club and country in over 17 games. It's great for him to get that, maybe bring up his confidence now that he can bring over to Milan. This is just what he needed. But again, it's a big result for Italy because it's their first win. A great thing to celebrate after the abysmal year that they've had not qualifying. They don't have to get relegated. And it's even better seeding. If they can beat Portugal now, they can go top of the group. But I believe Portugal still has another game against Poland, as well as another game against Italy as well. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what they can do here and how they can manage to incorporate these bunch of youngsters with the experience that they need to become successful and reinvigorate the Italian team. So with that taken care of, we're going to go now onto the club teams, and I felt like I want to talk about a few people here. And like I said, maybe we'll start off with some players. Again, like I said, Piontek, who has been outstanding. He was a surprise so far of the season. I don't think anyone truly expected it out of this guy. Again, Genoa bought him for about 4 million euros from Cracovia. Yes, he scored 21 goals there, but you wouldn't think he's been on this scoring run. 12 goals in 8 games in all competition, scoring in every game so far. It's something of a surprise. So again, let's see if he can keep it up. I know teams are looking at him, teams such as Juve, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, even Napoli. His stock has gone up. Teams are looking at it. But it's, well, depending if Genoa are going to sell him now or keep him until the end of the year. They can always sell him. He can stay out on loan. There's still a lot of factors. It depends what Preziosi will do and how much. Again, 30 million now they're saying he's worth, and who knows by the time January comes how much his stock will be, how his form is going to be too. There is a lot of fact. He's a player to watch out for in the remaining amount of times now till December, I would say, because again, there's still plenty of games to play. Another player too I want to talk about is also Cristiano Ronaldo. He has taken his time to settle in. He's still trying to adjust to Serie. It's still taking him a while. In the 8 games he has played, for sure, 4 goals and 3 assists. Not bad stats. I know he's produced much better with Madrid in his time in Spain. But still, Serie is a completely different league, and he has helped Juventus, who we're now going to talk about as well, go on 10 straight victories in Champions League and Serie in all competitions. They're 8 for 8 right now in the league, which is what Juve want, but that's not, again, the competition they want to worry about, because again, they're focusing on trying to win the Champions League. That's why they brought in a player like him. That's why they brought in Bonucci as well. They're focusing on European success after so long, 7 consecutive finals that have been lost, not when they want to keep going forward. They've won seven consecutive Serie A titles, and now I think they want to expand. That's what they want. The Champions League is the one trophy that has been eluding them since the 90s, and they won't stop. With champions like that, they gotta win, right? Napoli are another team with, again, a lot of new players, well, some few new players, and then a new coach with new tactics. Carlo Ancelotti has been able to mold his team perfectly. 6 wins out of 8 with only 2 losses. So I'll give him to that. It's been very impressive for him. And he actually knows how to rotate his side to perfection. And they have been managing to win games, even bringing players off the bench. Verdi, Insigne, they're all working together. And they know how to play. They are really doing well under Carlo Ancelotti. And he is getting the best out of this rotation. And this is exactly what they were missing last season with Sarri. Players being overused and overexhausted, and then they're just overtired and they can't compete in the later games of the season, and that's what they need if they want to become champions and overtake Juve, because that's what they need to do. Yes, they did lose to Juve a couple weeks before the international break, but they know they can recover from that. Season is still young. Again, only 8 games in. There's plenty of games left to play, and keep an eye out for Napoli as well. And speaking of that too, Inter slightly behind them as well after a slow start, losing to Sassuolo, Parma. They're now on a 4-game winning streak going into the Derby, and that's something they want to use to their advantage. They have a lot of confidence, getting the best out of Mauro Icardi right now, and he's playing an important factor in getting the goals that they need. That's what Inter want to do. Spalletti trying to get the best out of his team. He also has a lot of new players, so he's trying to get the best out of his player, how to gel the players, get the chemistry. You get Politano, you get Keita, Nainggolan, Versailles, the rotation in the back between Skriniar, De Vrij, and Miranda. Trying to find the best players in each role. But again, he has a good rotation. He can use good depth, and he's using it well for sure. Just under them, Lazio slow start as well, 5-0-3. I think there's something there that's not clicking. I know they have some new players as well, not too many. They have a lot, their work cut out for them. They did bring in players like Chervi and Bedelli, but again, with European competition on their end too, I don't know, there's something there right now. Their play isn't the best right now. They did happen to beat Fiorentina before the break after losing the Derby to Roma. I don't know if they'll start slipping now, but look out for them. I feel they could collapse. It's, again, still early, so Inzaghi still has time to find his rhythm again. He did very well with them last year. He needs to get more out of Immobile if he wants to succeed, and that's something you want to look out for in that team. Speaking of Roma, who even had a slow start as well, 4-2-2, and they lost to even Bologna, which was a shock. As well. Even the game before, they gave the 2-goal lead to Chievo. I feel like this season Roma was like last season's Milan. A bunch of new players, coach for his second stint at the club, and was experimenting a lot. Just couldn't get the best out of it. So again, players like Pastore, he brought in Marcano. Karsdorp is returning from injury as well. Kluivert, Cristante, just some of these players trying to figure out where they fit. It was causing problems for Di Francesco, but it seems like he's managing to get the right formation, the right results. He's on 3 consecutive wins in the league, and especially a huge win in the Champions League. That was important for him to get the result that he needed. And that shows confidence now, and that's what they are looking for. And now the last team too, because they're important to talk about as well, is Milan. They have ambitions after the huge saga that happened over the summer with their transfer of ownerships. Yang Hong Lee losing the club because he couldn't pay debts to Singer. Singer retaking the club and doing well because he hired Leonardo. He hired Maldini. Those two together have brought in excellent players. Managed to bring in Caldado for a swap in Bonucci, and then bringing in Higuain on a paid loan with an option to buy, I believe, of 35 million euros. I believe he has 6 goals so far, 5 goals maybe, something like that. And him and Cutrone have been working well in Serie A and Europa League. They linked up for the winner against Roma. They're playing well together. They came back against Olympiacos in the Europa League. They That's the type of partnership they need in order to be successful and gain access back into the Champions League if they want to finish top four. That's exactly what they need from their two strikers. The experience and youth, because Cutrone last year was the best striker Milan had, but if you can bring in a player like Higuain, who has the most goals in Serie in the last 5 years, holds the records for most goals in a single season, these two will be unstoppable. But again, Milan need to keep a clean sheet. They cannot concede goals if they expect to win. Like I said, Gigio finally keeping a clean sheet after 17 games. Let's see if he can finally bring that over. He hasn't had a clean sheet since May of last season. So again, that's something he needs to bring in. The only clean sheet Milan did have this year was in the Europa League, but Pepe Reina, of course, was playing because he is the cup goalie this year for the club. And I bet Gattuso will definitely turn things around. They do have confidence in him. All the players do as well. And they will also be getting a new player come January. As you all heard, Paqueta from Flamengo, who's very versatile. I know a lot of people are relating him to Kaká, but let's leave the comparisons. Let the man grow and play into his own player. If we keep comparing players to, like, these new generation players to old style players, the expectations are going to be too high and they can't produce, we're going to turn on them. And that's not really what we should be doing with players like that. I know people are comparing Di Sciglio to Maldini. That's a huge comparison there. And look what happened. Yeah, he's doing okay at Juve, but he's struggled a lot at Milan and couldn't develop fully, right? So again, he will be coming in January, so it will add a lot of depth into the midfield and in the wing. So just wait to see how he does, and expect a lot from the player as well. Well, like I just said, expectations are high, but he will definitely bring some new flair into the Milan side and exactly what they're most likely looking for, and into a lot of depth as well. Going into the even lower in the standings, we're going to take a look at the relegation battle here. Yes, it's too early to look at relegation, but a lot of these teams are struggling, and a few surprises down there as well. I'm going to go from the 15th place and onwards, because Udinese is down there at 8 points. Bologna was 7. And Atalanta just outside there by a point with 6. No one would have expected Atalanta after the season they had last year. Yes, they made it to Europa League. You were just eliminated. But there's something here that's not clicking. They brought in like Duvan Zapata because they lost players like Caldara and Cristante. Maybe that's getting to it as well. They're starting Golini over but inexperienced Berisha, trying to get him playing time. Who knows what the exact reason is, but Gasperini did wonders with the club. So let's see what he can do to get them back up and move them up in the standings, because it's such a surprise to see them there. It really is, and no one ever would have thought. In the bottom 3, we have Empoli, Frosinone, and Chievo. Like I said, they have their points deduction. They would have been just ahead of Frosinone, still in the bottom 3. But Empoli have played well in all their games. They just can't seem to win. They can't bury their chances. They can't get the results they really need. Yes, they tied Milan. They honestly could have capitalized too. But Terracciano saved them a lot that game. They have to give credit to him. He played exceptionally well, playing almost like Dino's off. Okay, maybe that's too high of a comparison, but still, he played well enough to keep him in the game. But Empoli have had a lot of chances, but they can't capitalize. If they really need to pick up the play, if they want to stay in Serie this year as well, not go back down after 1 year as well. So keep an eye out. Again, I feel those two are the two teams for sure going down. Not sure who else. It's too early to say. It's hard to say who else. I just don't know what else to say. It's too early. We could see Atalanta going down, Udinese, Spal. Even though Spal has had a really good start so far, 3-0-5. They were unlucky against Inter, that's for sure. They deserved more than that 2-1 loss. They really got unlucky, and I hated to see that because, again, being a Milanista and seeing Inter win, not what I wanted to see. But I'll give credit to Spal. They did deserve more, and it's true. Inter did play their game, but Spal deserved more. And I know I'm jumping from place to place, just a lot over here, but of course, keep an eye out in that bottom 3. We'll see what happens as well. So now going out of Serie A, we're going to go to the European competitions and go to the Champions League. And we had a turn where all the Italian teams won for the first time since 2005. Napoli beat Liverpool 1-0 in the dying minutes Very big result for them going into their next game. Inter beating PSV away from home 2-1. Another comeback for them after going down as well. Roma blowing out Victoria Pleasant after suffering a first round defeat to Real Madrid. They need to come back up, and that's important considering Madrid lost their game to CSK Moscow. And then Juve beating Young Boys 3-0 thanks to Paulo Dybala. And again, Ronaldo was suspended because of some incident against Valencia, which is so stupid that he just touched Murillo's head. I don't know what the ref saw on that. He's only serving like 1 game suspension. Will be back for the games against Manchester United. Those are the big games for Juve right now. If they can get good results against the English team, the English side there, then for sure, like that will be who determines who finishes first. And finishing first, especially with a lot of these games, you're going to have to. And like I said, so next round we have some big games. We do have Roma against CSK Moscow. Winner of this could take first place in the group, but again, it also depends on how Madrid does as well. Manchester United hosting Juventus. That's going to be the big game out of the 2 big teams in this group, of course. Then we also have Barcelona Inter. That's going to be a big game as well, considering the way Inter has been playing. This is going to be, again, the battle of the top 2 teams in the group, considering they both beat Tottenham and PSV. I feel these 2 teams will be the ones to go through, depending how this game goes and how the other game. But let's keep an eye out. These next two games for Inter are going to be very important. Last but not least, we have PSG hosting Napoli. And again, after Napoli beat Liverpool in that second game, they take first spot in the group. And if they can beat PSG at the Parc des Princes, they can definitely go through. Casilli will take a commanding lead up top, depending how Liverpool does as well. Liverpool probably have the victory against the other side, who knows. But who really could say what can happen? The Champions League, anything can happen. But Napoli can really do damage if they can get the big result against PSG. So keep an eye out for those games. Sliding over to Europa League now. We only have the 2 teams with Milan and Lazio. Milan coming back against Olympiacos. They cannot finish their chances in the first half. They go down early, but then put on Cutrone, gets a brace, and as well as Higuain, just what they need. Again, those 2 strikers working together, they're going to become unstoppable. Just the experience and the hunger that they have, they are perfect pairing. If Gattuso can play more of a 4-4-2 and use them, I know it's maybe not the best formation to start off with the team that Milan has, but maybe adapting halfway through, switching to that 4-4-2, I feel is definitely the formation to use if you want to get goals and get the best out of those 2, because those 2 guys can really work well together. And that was a big game for Milan. They take a commanding lead in the group with 6 points going into their next 2 games against Real Betis. And considering they're playing in Spain next round too. Lazio actually losing to Frankfurt. They go down early, but then are reduced to 9 men, which was a bit of a surprise. Well, maybe a bit of some stupidity as well from the Lazio players. First Lazio player being sent off was Duvan Basta. After he was just recently booked, decided to bring a player down to stop the counterattack. But why would you do that if you're already booked? You just basically risk your team. And then Correa goes into a tackle. This one is a little iffy, but I think the ref may have gotten the right call because it was the studs were showing a bit. But it was a tough decision for sure at first glance because it didn't look wrong. But then again, when you see the replays, I think the ref did get it right. But it was a tough game for Lazio, who did lose to a great Frankfurt side. They did play well, but again, now they have 2 tough games as well. So Milan hosting Betis in the next round, while Lazio travel to France to play Marseille, and that will definitely be a tough game, missing Correa and Duvan Basta. Lazio really have to play well if they want to get results, and if they want to finish in the top 2 of their group. Considering it is close, they are sitting second right now, but Marseille is 2 points behind them, and they are 3 points behind Frankfurt. And Frankfurt could probably take all 6 points against their 2 games against Apollon. Who knows what will happen, but that's going to be a tough group to get out of for sure. And again, keep an eye on Milan and Betis, because those 2 teams are most likely going to go through. Now it depends who's going to finish first and whatnot. So these 2 games are going to be important. Also depending how Olympiacos does against Dudelange, so keep an eye out for that. So now going on to the next round of Serie. Here's a preview. On October 20th, we have 3 games that day. Roma at 9 a.m., they should be taking care of that game. They shouldn't have any problems with Spal. Juve hosting Genoa. Again, Juve should run away with this one. Keep an eye again for Piontek. I have to get used to saying his name like that, to see if he can continue his scoring run against a formidable Juve defense. And let's see if new coach Juric can change things around, and may surprise a few. And then Udinese hosting Napoli. Again, let's see if Napoli can get a good result and keep on pace with Juventus. Sunday, Frosinone Empoli opening up the morning at 6:30. Then Bologna, Torino, Chievo, Atalanta, and Parma, Lazio all at 9 a.m. Lazio should take care of the game against Parma, but Parma have been really good of late too. They have Inglese and Gervinho working well, so keep an eye. Battle of the bottom between Chievo and Atalanta. As much as I can't believe I'm saying that, Atalanta at the bottom, but that again is an important game. They need results. Midday, Fiorentina, Cagliari. Fiorentina have been perfect so far at home, so let's see if they can continue that run as well with the very young team that they have. Again, Cagliari playing decently well. Big result against Bologna last game. Let's see if they can carry that over and maybe stop Fiorentina in their tracks at the Franchi. Then the big game of the weekend, Derby della Madonnina between Inter and Milan. This will definitely be the game to see this weekend. I will definitely be getting together with my buddies and be doing a live reaction. We hope to have a full house. A big game versus Inter and Milan. Both teams are going in with huge confidence and believing they can be the victor. Milan wins, they go 1 point behind their city rivals. If Inter win, they just keep moving up in the standings, and they will go past Napoli, depending again how their game goes. They can move up to second, but who knows? They can either even move again 2 points within Napoli if Napoli win their game. So keep an eye on that. That would be a big one, and watch out for that live reaction. Then last game is on the Monday between Sampdoria and Sassuolo. 2 good teams who had good starts as well. We're going to see, Quagliarella versus Boateng, Defrel facing his former side as well. Who will come out on this top? They've been really good sides, playing good football. So it's going to be interesting to see here what these teams can do. So again, another good game to watch as well. I'm very intrigued to see how this game will finish out. So keep an eye out for all these games. Let me know what game you guys are looking forward to. What you guys think are going to be some of the key matchups this week between players, teams. Who's going to be the player of the weekend. And don't forget, I'm going to have a poll on Twitter to see who you guys think is going to win the Derby. So don't forget to vote there. Keep an eye out for that as well in the next couple of days. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel on Culture Bros and click the bell button there, so that way you can get all the notifications when our newest videos are out. Follow us on Twitter, Calcio_Bros, and we'll hear from you guys soon. Ciao.